We've got ones that can see. Welcome, everybody, to today's show. A new season, the final season, they say, for the popular Netflix series Squid Game has just released their trailer. And of course, it's trending on YouTube. Of course, it's trending because they promote it on YouTube. And I wanted to discuss this because there's so much into it. I talked about Squid Game when it first came out. And for anybody out there that doesn't know, I'll go into the plot, I'll go into the predictive programming, and I'll show you the signs and symbols and all the Freemasonic connections momentarily. But long story short, the Squid Game is a popular game on Netflix that literally the plot is killing humans for sport. That's what the plot of the show is. Squid Game follows a group of financially struggling individuals who are invited to participate in a deadly survival game for a massive cash prize. They compete in a series of children's games, with the stakes becoming increasingly dangerous as the competition progresses. The show explores themes of desperation, social inequality, and the lengths people will go for survival. And of course, this has to do with death, like, a lot of these movies do. Now, who's responsible for funding the Squid Game in this fictional television series? Who's responsible for it, right? Because they say, well, they're going to go through all this stuff for money, right? Well, of course, it's funded by wealthy individuals known as VIPs who are looking for entertainment. And doesn't this plot sound eerily familiar to like 9,000 other movies that they've released, yet none of the sheeple out there have noticed the common theme here, which is hunting humans, killing humans for sport? How about Hunger Games? What was the plot of that? Well, in what was once North America, the capital of Panam maintains its hold on its 12 districts by forcing them each to select a boy and girl called tributes to compete in a nationally televised event called the Hunger Games. Every citizen must watch as the youth fight to the death until only one remains, right? Well, that sounds awfully similar in plot, right? I mean, who funds the Hunger Games then? Well, the Hunger Games is funded by wealthy citizens from the capital, right? Of course they are, right? How about the movie The Hunt that came out a few years ago, which I did a video on? Anyone remember that? 12 strangers wake up in a clearing. They don't know where they are or how they got there. In the shadow of a dark internet conspiracy theory, ruthless elitists gather at a remote location to hunt humans for sport. But their master plan is about to be derailed when one of the hunted, Crystal, turns the tables on her pursuers. So if you haven't heard, predictive programming is something that they use. They show you this over and over again. Future events, they program you into seeing these things, which desensitizes you to it when it actually occurs. And on top of that, it actually programs you how to behave when things happen, like movies like The Purge, for example. If a purge was to take place and a grid shutdown was to happen, that's how they want you to behave. How they show you in movies like The Purge or 0 Day or Leave the World Behind. Look at all these movies about human hunting. These are all films that have been made, and there's more that are about hunting humans. How about The Running Man, right? In the year 2019, America is a totalitarian state where the favorite television program is The Running Man, a game show in which prisoners must run to freedom to avoid a brutal death. Having been made a scapegoat by the government, and imprisoned Ben Richards, Arnold Schwarzenegger, has the opportunity to make it back to the outside again by being a contestant on the deadly show, although the twisted host, Damon Killian, Richard Dawson, has no intention of letting him escape. So it's very similar, right? Game show theme, Running Man, game show theme, Hunger Games, game show theme, Squid Game, game show theme. And the prize, of course, is, well, money. And if you don't win, of course, the result is death. And it sounds like something that we just continually are hearing about over and over and over again. So I want to show you this trailer for this Squid Game Season 3 for many reasons, because it's so filled with symbolism that it's worth covering. You'll see the Masonic checkerboard floor because it'll let you know who's responsible for this type of stuff, who actually does this stuff, hunts humans, kills humans for sport. And you'll just see over and over and over again Masonic symbolism. So here is the trailer. Keep a close eye out for things like the checkerboard floor and, of course, the people behind it who happen to be wearing masks. So isn't that neat? That looks like fun, right? These 6 sadistic shows that people watch, that we allow them to produce. I mean, we're at a point now, how are we letting them get away with some of the stuff that they put out? These things would be considered like snuff films, some of the films that they produce with the gore and the violence. And then you wonder why your kid ends up being a killer, or wants to kill, or has this fascination with it. If he never saw that stuff, do you think he'd have the idea in his mind of doing those things? Well, of course not. But most people don't want to believe that because they've been trained that mind control is not real, that getting exposed to these things like graphic pornography or some of the other stuff you always see linked to people involved in crimes. And I'm not even talking about the serial killers, which are all really Manchurian candidates from the government and have a connection to the CIA. I'm talking about just smaller stories where you hear about a crime in the town next to you that really does happen. And people go, what went wrong with the kid, right? And they're like, well, the kid was just really into, he watched this like really gross like pornography with like chains and stuff. And then you're like, oh man, what could have got him into that? Oh, well, he found it on the internet, right? Oh, movies like 50 Shades of Grey, right? Oh, okay. And then it's not enough. Then they're watching gore and all this and they buy weapons, and mom and dad don't have a clue because mom and dad are on their phone. They're too busy. But how do we allow them to put stuff like this out there is really what I'm talking about. Why and how and when did we get to this point where even there's no ratings on these things? And parents aren't even following a rating system anymore. When we were younger, there was a rating system. You couldn't get into an R movie if you were a teenager. They would card you to get in. You think they're doing that now? No chance they're doing that. And in fact, the parents will participate and bring the kid to the movie. They'll bring him to see Halloween with Michael Myers. They're like, I grew up on Michael Myers. I didn't end up being a murderer. Then you got a 10-year-old sitting there watching Halloween. The whole movie's just about murder and how they could just make it sicker and sicker in each sequel that comes out, right? What do you think they come out for with the sequels? Because they know that the parent is likely going to want to go see it, right? Because he saw it when he was 10, 12, 15. Now he's going to bring his kid versus something new. And then they just make it gorier, worse, more sadistic, right? So we look at these shows like that trailer you just saw. I mean, I don't know who would sit and watch something like this. And I would normally say to each their own, but this type of stuff is so sadistic, especially knowing what the elite's plans are for all of us. But you notice the black and white Masonic checkerboard floor, right? Because of course it was in there. It was on the floor. It was on the roof. Did you even notice the upside down crucifixes that happen to be in there? And you might notice that casket, which I'll get into momentarily. But of course, if you don't know, the black and white symbolism goes back to Freemasonry, secret societies, duality, as above, so below. Your good deeds outweigh your bad deeds. That's why you see all these celebrities always wearing black and white symbolism. They literally believe in their minds that they could commit the most atrocious act, the most wicked thing. But if they do a good deed, well, they cross each other out. So in other words, they could take a child and do something unimaginable with the child. But the next day, they might write a check for $1,000 and give it to St. Jude's, their Masonic brotherhoods, the Shriners, right? And that's the mindset that these wicked people have. For anyone that doesn't understand what that means with duality, your good deeds outweigh your bad ones, which means no matter how bad of a deed you commit, your good ones are always going to stand out more, which is why you see them pretend to be philanthropists, all these celebrities. They've even convinced themselves that what they're doing is just natural human instinct. It's primordial instinct to do some of the disgusting acts that they do. And that's, of course, offset by the nice things that they claim to do. And, of course, out in public, you see these people in the show, right? They're all wearing masks, right? Wearing masks, holding up a pyramid with their hands, and the quick jump cut of like 5 seconds or 3 seconds where they show these main characters who are all these globalists, right? They hide their faces. They're sitting smug. They're all wearing masks, right? What does this all go back to? We know what the mask wearing. We can look back to the Rothschilds' ball, right? The rich, the elites, everybody's seen it in Eyes Wide Shut. Nobody realized why they go to these parties and wear masks. Well, that way nobody's held accountable. Nobody's judged for the disgusting deeds that they're involved in, whether it's 10 people at once on a table getting it on with one another, or it's way, way worse things, unimaginable things that they do at these events. And that's why they wear masks. And of course, the Rothschild ball, which is something we've all exposed over years, is almost glorified now. There's like these ridiculous companies that put on Illuminati balls, they call them, and they pay homage to this. And they think it's a joke. They're like, oh, those people are nuts. It's a good time. I'm going to wear George Washington's face, and I'm going to wear a bird cage on my head. I'm Aren't we cool? We're pretending to be rich and fancy. These people are so dumb. They're paying homage and respect to people who do the unimaginable things that you could not comprehend. So we have that in there. We have the elites, of course, wearing the mask. And then, of course, we have blatant all-seeing eye symbolism, right? Did you notice that? They show you a peephole, right? A little hole, and the guy's got his eyeball in there. That's just their way of showing it to you. Just like their numerology they always put in there. This is stuff that's always choreographed for the trailers, for certain shots, right? The guy wearing 336. You get your symbolism there with your 666 and your 33. It's a very common number we always see. They put it there deliberately. It's not there coincidentally. So the other thing I wanted to make note of was the casket, right? You saw all these guys who, have circles on their head. They have pyramids. What a surprise. On their heads. They're all armed and they're walking into a room and they're carrying a casket. And as they open the casket, you see somebody laying there. Looks like he's dead, but he opens his eyes. Now, who is obsessed with caskets in their ceremonies and rituals? Well, the Freemasons are. Did you know that? You often see it, even in that picture that I show pretty often, where you'll see the black and white Masonic checkerboard floor. You'll see the altar in the back with the two pillars. You'll see a casket right in the middle of the floor, right there with the skull and bones right on it. And of course, in Masonic traditions, a coffin is a symbolic element called the Chamber of Reflection. This chamber is a place for candidates to contemplate mortality and their own mortality. And the presence of a coffin or a skull and crossbones is meant to invoke the reality of death. But what they really do is they actually get locked inside of these things during their rituals. And they're told inside of these, when they're in there, to reflect on mortality. It's really just trauma is what it is. And this is something that's also done at the very most wicked levels in Hollywood with young children. They put them in caskets. They put snakes in the caskets. These are things that these people actually do to put children through trauma-based mind control. There's so many accounts from SRA victims of satanic ritual abuse. And I have videos on my website because, of course, it's not allowed to be talked about on here anymore. But they go into detail about that sort of thing, right? So they love these mock death rituals, whether it's getting locked in a coffin or this, I'll show you right here. And I put this entire documentary up on the website today for anybody who's over there who hasn't seen it. It's long. It's a couple hours, but it walks through many of the Masonic rituals, which are so embarrassing that they don't even want you to see this on platforms like YouTube because it's so humiliating. These guys are in their tighty whities. Most of the time they have skid marks in the back, dookie stains, and they have people hold swords up to their throats. But as you'll see in this ritual here, they do mock death ceremonies where they're killed and they're put in body bags, right? Here, take a look. This is the type of stuff that your Freemasons are doing. And notice the theme with Squid Game, right? Where the guy was dead and then, he rose from the dead because rebirth, spiritual rebirth, common theme in the occult.
Grand Master Hiram Abif, I am glad to meet you thus alone. You have long promised us the secrets of a Master Mason. Behold, the temple is almost completed, and we have not yet received them. Give me the secrets of a Master Mason.
This is an unusual manner of asking. Neither is it the time nor place. Wait until the temple is finished, and then, if worthy, you will receive the secrets.
Give me the secrets of a Master Mason, or I will take your life.
I cannot. Neither can they be given except in the presence of three: Solomon, king of Israel, Hiram, king of Tyre, and myself.
Give me the secrets of a Master Mason, or I'll take your life upon this spot.
My life, but not the secrets.
Then die.
Grand Master Hiram Abif, give me the secrets of a Master Mason.
I cannot.
This neither is satisfactory. Give me the secrets of a Master Mason, or I'll take your life.
I will not.
Give me the secrets of a Master Mason, or I'll take your life on the spot.
My life, but not the secrets.
Then die. Grand Master Hiram Abif, give me the secrets of a Master Mason.
I cannot.
Give me the secrets of a Master Mason, or I'll take your life.
I will not.
Give me the secrets of a Master Mason, or I'll take your life on this spot.
My life, but not the secrets.
Then die. Companions, what horrid crime we had committed. We have murdered our Grand Master Hiram Abif. What shall we do with the body? Let us take it a westerly course and bury it at the brow of a hill
dug 6 feet due east and west, and 6 feet perpendicularly, at the head of which we will plant a sprig of acacia, that the place may be here unknown.
Let us make our escape.
Please stay with us, for after this break, we will continue with the third degree of Freemasonry. You'll see where Hiram Abiff is raised from the dead, and then the former worshipful master will explain to us the meaning of what you have seen.
So it doesn't get much more embarrassing than that. I don't know. I know it's a small part. I'm assuming that those were actors and not real Freemasons, so I'll give them a pass on that for the reenactment. But this is what's going on in your town, right? You drive by that place, there's no windows. You're like, I don't know what's going on there. What are they doing, keg stands in there? What are the guys cheating on their wives in there? Oh, well, that'd probably be a better idea than, imagining them doing that. You'd say, oh, that's not cool, but okay. No, they're doing this stuff. They're doing this stuff, right? So what do you think that the point of these types of rituals are? Think about it. Fake death, sworn to secrecy, right? This is how you build up a treasonous government from the ground up, and treasonous, local communities and your local towns and the local government you have in your town. They go through this stuff. These guys are loyal to one another. They're not loyal to you. They take death oaths to one another. So if anybody out there comments, which is always a common thing, they're like, I thought that Britney Spears was trying to get out of the Accord. I thought Lauryn Hill was trying to leave. There is no way out. Once you're in, the only way out is death. Just ask Mozart. So those are the types of rituals happening in town. Again, the whole documentary on that is available on the website. But you can see all the Masonic themes in that trailer, right? Not just the black and white Masonic checkerboard floor. The rebirth, the bringing in of that casket. Who's in the casket? He's dead. He's alive again, right? All Masonic in nature. And guess what? The people who are playing the Hunger Games out, the people who are playing the Squid Games out, they're all members of Freemasonry. They might be in higher sects of secret societies. They might be, members of the Golden Dawn and these other branches of Satanism, which are very extreme, but they're all trained in Freemasonry. They all have Freemasonry ingrained in them because it's all one and the same. It's all one and the same. Once they get to 33rd degree, then they can evolve into other realms of Satanism, here's a secret society here. It's not Freemasonry, it's a different secret society, right? Because there's many different secret societies, but Freemasonry is the core. This is where they're taught that Lucifer is God. And even if they're brought in, or born in, I should say, let's say they're born in, they learn all this stuff at a young age. They learn it quick. They're taught all of this stuff. This is what we're living among. So when we talk about the wealthy individual theme of Squid Games and Hunger Games and The Running Man and Hunt, right? The movie The Hunt, where they're like, people get dropped off in the middle of nowhere, and then elitists gather at this remote location and hunt humans for sport, right? Well, guess what? Any human out there that's hunting another human for sport is a Freemason and is a member of those secret societies. And they're telling you that in this Squid Game trailer. So I wanted to show everybody out there that. I hope everybody is doing well. Thank everybody for being here. God bless all of you as always and your families.